How supply and demand change will affect its quantity and price. I promise you this is going to be on your test. It's the most basic and you have to know this before the test. So let's say changes in demand. Let's say that there is an increase in the price of substitute. So what happens to the demand curve then? When there is an increase in the price of a substitute, then the demand curve will shift to the right. Demand will shift to the right because people are rather going to buy this product. So shifting the demand curve to the right, it means that before the equilibrium price was here and the price of equilibrium was here. However, it has changed. Equilibrium quantity has increased and equilibrium price has also increased when there is a shift to the right in the demand curve. That's all you need to figure out. It's easy. Changes in supply. Let's say that there was a technology advancement. When there is a technology advancement, the supply curve will shift to the right, so the supply curve shifts here. Now what happened is the equilibrium quantity was before it was here. Now the equilibrium quantity is here. The price has decreased like this. So equilibrium quantity has increased and its price has decreased. When there is a technology advancement, it's good for the consumers like us because they're able to supply more at a cheaper price. The quantity supplied increases and the price decreases. Just like how electronic goods have become much cheaper than before. Like in the 1990s, the computers cost like $3,000 at their price. Their nominal price was $3,000 in 1999. That was a really expensive good. But today you can get a much better computer with a much cheaper price. You don't have to pay like $3,000 for a computer. There's even like a computer that costs $1,000. It was so much more expensive back then. It's so much cheaper now because of the technology advancement. And that shows in this graph. Changes in both supply and demand is going to be on the test. So let's see what happens here. Changes in both supply and demand. Let's say that because I have an iPhone's demand has increased because people think that it is trendy. However, at the same time, workers in the iPhone factory have gone on a strike. So what happens here? Demand will shift and supply will shift as well. When you know that supply and demand are going to both shift, what you have to do first so that you don't get confused is that you have to mark your equilibrium first. So this is the original equilibrium that you had. So iPhone's demand has increased because of the change in people's taste. People think that it's cool. So demand will shift to the right like this. What about the supply? Because the workers went on a strike, they are not going to be able to produce so much iPhone. The supply will shift to the left like this. So find the new equilibrium here. What we know is price has increased. What happened to the quantity? It looks like it stays the same. So what you have to know is that quantity is indeterminable. For example, because the question doesn't signify how much the demand changed, let's say that demand changed a lot and supply shifted to the left a little bit. Then in this case, demand will shift a lot to the right and supply just a little to the left. Now what we have here is the new equilibrium here. When demand has shifted a lot, quantity, supply has increased and price has increased. Price and quantity has both increased in this case. However, let's assume that the workers went on a really severe strike and supply curve shifted so much more than the demand curve. So supply curve shifted to the left so much more and the demand curve shifts to the right a little bit, like this. Now what happened is there is a quantity that decreased and price that increased. Before, the quantity and price both increased. When the demand moves much, the price increases, quantity also increases. When supply moves a lot, now price increases, quantity decreases. This is what happens and tell us how much they have shifted. We know that price is going to increase, but we don't know whether the quantity will increase or decrease. Price will increase, but quantity is indeterminable. That's what you have to say. That's what you have to check in the multiple question box.